Okay. One of the geographer's most characteristic tools is a map. It communicates geographic information, and maps are two-dimensional flat representations of some portion of the Earth's surface. Maps are necessarily smaller than the area portrayed, so they can't show all the things present on the actual Earth's surface. Maps show only selected information according to the particular purpose of that map. They're often used to show things that may not be visible on the landscape, but they are nevertheless important. For example, you don't see political boundaries of nation states, but you know they're there. And maps will show these, like the political map I have here of the world. It shows all the different nation states and their boundaries, and it's color-coded. You'll notice that each state that are next to each other, they are different colors. You're not going to have yellow next to yellow. And that makes it easier for someone then to read that map. Maps, they take a variety of forms. Some are just simple drawings intended to show relative location or a path from one place to another. Perhaps the most common map is the one in which you're familiar with, and that's the road map. Everyone uses maps to find how to get to a particular location or where a particular community is or a physical feature. Road maps used to be you could stop at a gas station and purchase a road map. With the development of the interstate highway, states in the United States began building rest stops along the interstate highway, and at these rest stops, then you could purchase a road map. And road maps, keep them in your car. They're still important, even though with the advancement of technology, road maps now you can now get them on your cell phone. And Google Maps, people are accessing Google Maps on their cell phones, on their tablets, and computers, and you don't necessarily need a paper foldable road map anymore. Just ask Siri. But it's always a good idea to still have a paper copy of a road map, because sometimes the technology does not work. So map making, this is the science of mapping, and this is called cartography. And cartography, it is not just making maps, but it's also interpreting maps. And cartographers have to decide with the data they collect how they are then going to display that information on a map. So for example, we have here a map of the DMAC campus, of the Ankeny campus. And this map maker decided, okay, I'm going to show where the parking lots are. They're going to number the buildings so people can find classrooms or other resources. Someone has taken this map and they circled on here a particular building so someone could find it quicker and arrive there for a meeting. This map maker is using, again, a map of the DMAC Ankeny campus, but this map, it shows physical features dealing with the lake and with the creek, so you can still have maps of the same region or particular area, but it displays different geographic information. Also, you could have a map of the building layout, showing where your classrooms are, where faculty offices are, where the restrooms are. And you also find maps like this in each classroom and in every room in a particular building for safety reasons. And map making, it is highly technical and it's also artistic. it's geographic designers that are also drawing some of these maps, and they're saving lives. Maps, particularly maps that show escape routes on planes or in buildings. And so with cartography, you're combining the tools of mathematics and engineering with those of graphic designs. Maps need to be accurate. They need to portray matter as it really exists rather than distorted or improperly located or mislabeled information. So maps that display specific types of information, they're called thematic maps. And cartographers, they have to carefully choose the proper techniques for conveying different types of or different kinds of data, different kinds of information. And thematic maps can be used to convey information about many different geographic topics. So in this course, we're going to be using thematic maps extensively. And students, you should be able to understand some of the basic characteristics of thematic maps. And that's to allow you to better to interpret the information that each of these thematic maps presents. Now, there's two primary considerations for each map type. First, the geography of the data relates to how information is collected and stored. And data is collected according to different kinds of spaces. For example, point features, such as a town on a national map. So we have here an example of a portion of a national map. It shows Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, and it shows point features and here communities. Glenwood Springs, Fairplay, Leadville, Denver, all in Colorado. And then there's also line features, another map type consideration that displays data. And the line features here, you've got political boundaries of states within the contiguous United States. Also, you have line features of roads. Here you have the Interstate 70 going through Colorado. Interstate 80 is here as well, but on this portion of the map, it's not displayed. The map is displayed, but it's not labeled. Aerial features, also an important, displays data. So aerial features, it shows geographic regions, such as a country. This example here shows watershed boundary regions, is showing the upper Mississippi River Valley Basin, the lower Mississippi Basin. You also have the upper Colorado, lower Colorado, and this displays aerial features of a geographic region or tract. Now, thematic maps, other symbols show different types of things. Second, that we have to look at when we're considering different types of maps is the map symbols. Map symbols are selected to convey differences in the data. Some symbols display quantitative differences, such as rainfall totals or rates of poverty. We've seen here a thematic map. This is a choropleth map using color gradations and shading. Population, this is showing quantitative differences in the population living below national poverty lines, and this is on a global scale. Also, other symbols show different types of things called nominal or categorical data. For example, it could show agricultural areas, or this map is showing different types, different locations of power plants globally. This is a dot distribution map. You're seeing dots, which shows a location of nuclear power plants. And if you'll notice, even the cartographer has included an inset in this map to show Europe because there's so many different power plants there. And if you look at the large scale, this larger map here, the dots are all kind of converged together. So the insert shows a separation. And you're seeing France, you're seeing Italy and Germany separated here. So this is a dot distribution map. So the different types of thematic maps, dot distribution maps, it uses points to show the location or distribution of a feature. Some display quantities by assigning a value to each point. So this map here, it shows corn for grain harvested. This is dating back to 2002. Now each dot in this dot distribution map, it equals 10,000 acres. So then you're seeing particularly in the Midwest, corn grain, each dot signifies 10,000 acres of corn being grown specifically for grain purposes. So Also, you can use a dot distribution map to show a phenomenon like the growth of Walmart stores. And it starts in 1970, very few Walmart stores, beginning in Arkansas, which is where the corporate headquarters, and then it begins to spread in 1980 all the way up to 2000. And the dot distribution map then shows this spread of this particular phenomenon known as Walmart. Now, it'd be interesting to see how the cartographer would maybe change this map if he should add maybe yellow dots for the growth of the super Walmart stores. Another type of thematic maps is your graduated symbols maps. You're using different sizes of symbols to show differences in quantity across locations. A large symbol shows a location of large quantities, while small symbols show locations of smaller quantities. So for example here, this cartographer, he is showing motor vehicle deaths in the state of California. The larger symbols show there are more deaths, and this cartographer, he's got to decide, okay, am I going to use the green circles, these graduated symbols, or what about using larger cars, automobiles, down to smaller automobiles to display my data? Which map do you believe proves to be more effective? Is it the green circles, or is it the blue automobiles? Which is easier to read? Now, another type of thematic map are flow maps. They use different lines, thicknesses to show different quantities moving along a path. And this figure shows migration. The thicker lines show greater quantities moving out of Russia and the Asian continent, China, India, and the Middle East, moving into Western Europe, also moving into Canada, North America. Larger arrows signify greater numbers, 500,000. The thinner ones, 100,000, and then finally down to 10,000. So it's showing a phenomenon of movement with these flow maps. Another type of thematic map that you'll be using extensively for this course, and you'll see in your textbook, are what's called choropleth maps. And choropleth maps use color shading, use color or shading to show quantities at different areas, usually with darker shades indicating larger quantities, for example. And with this map here, you're seeing the Latina or Latino population. The darker shading shows higher quantities, and then down to the lighter shading showing smaller quantities, and it's showing the state of Florida. So why would you have a larger population in the southern tip of Florida as to going up to northern Florida? Why do you believe that is? Choropleth maps also can show also populations. It can also show in this map, for example, who has access to sanitation in Africa. And they're comparing it nationally. Also, they're comparing urban populations as compared to rural populations. So who has access to proper sanitation on the continent of Africa? That's what the cartographer here is displaying here. You can also use another thematic map to show who has access to sanitation, and this is a cartogram. And cartograms, they will distort the surface of the Earth to indicate some characteristic. And so the cartographer here has distorted Earth's surface to show who has access to sanitation. Now, if you look here, it's developed countries that are widely distorted as to compared to your less developed countries. So if you look at Africa here with the sanitation, and then compare it to the cartogram, you barely even see Africa here. Same with South America. They just don't have access to proper sanitation. Cartograms can also be used to display population. And this cartographer is using a cartogram. And you see the larger nation states, regions, and they display population numbers. So China has the largest population globally, closely followed by India. India will surpass China by the year 2050. So the land masses have been greatly distorted to reflect population. Populations with, in this map, with less than 50 million, they're not even named. So Canada's not even named. The United States is, because we do have a population more than 50 million people. So maps, you can also combine maps. Here we go. Just display geographic information. So here we've got a combination of color gradations along with graduated symbols showing what nations are landlocked, and then they're also using the graduated symbols to represent population. Maps too. We have here a map of Thailand, and again, these are thematic maps, and the map on the left showing vegetation, this is showing nominal categories here. So nominal is showing data, is showing different types of things. So showing the different types of vegetation grown in Thailand. Whereas the map, population map, this is a quantitative thematic map. All right, it is showing differences in the data. So for this course, we're going to be using extensively thematic maps. And thematic maps, again, they are displaying particular information. And for example, we've got world religions, and you're showing different colors signifying different religions in different regions of the world. Thematic maps also can show using flow maps, lines, gradations of lines here to show greater flows of petroleum and their related products. And thematic maps, it's all up to the cartographer. He has this data. How is he going to display that data? And so for this course, you're going to become geographers. You're going to be interpreting the information that you're finding on these thematic maps.